Welcome to the C-Suite Mentor, the place where you will learn the tools, strategies, and mindset to scale your business sustainably and build a lasting legacy. I'm your host, Theresa Cantley. As a fellow CEO, I understand what it takes to scale a business to 7 and multiple 8 figures. It's not necessarily what you might think. It requires a complete shift in how you think, strategize, and execute key actions in your business. My mission is to help CEOs step back into the driver's seat of their business by optimizing their operations, empowering their team, and staying in total alignment with their big vision. So, are you ready to exchange everything that hasn't worked for strategies that will? You're in the right place, so let's go. Hello, and welcome back. So today, I wanted to talk about a topic that you hear. I've seen so many different articles about it. I recently read an article about the level of increase in workplace incivility. It's not just about like people have different opinions and you might not agree with that opinion. People are actually shamed for it, and not like in a very small way, in a very big way. And I was talking to my assistant the other day, and we were just talking about different things that are going on. And this topic came up because she was having some conversations with some local business owners and just talking about, how do we lead? How do we grow our business? How do we manage people when there is so much turbulence and so much divide going on in just the world? And that divide has gone over into our workplace. And, I don't care who the president is. It don't matter. History has proven this, that the people that actually change the world, the people that actually make a difference in the world and make an impact in the world and really move things forward are entrepreneurs, are creatives, are creators, are people who have the ability to see through all of the negative and the hate and the turbulence and see a better way. And what I saw it during the Super Bowl. Kendrick Lamar just performed, and there is someone who is a creator, is a musician, is a really a leader in his space, and he had the ability to make such a grand impact with his halftime performance and just even with his music and his message. He's a Pulitzer Prize winner and has won different awards. So it doesn't matter. We have the ability as small business owners, we have the ability as entrepreneurs to make an impact. Why? Because being small is our superpower. And if we can start inside our business, and we repair what's happening inside with the dynamic in the culture within our business, then we can fix what's happening outside. But I've had these conversations more and more. My husband and I talk about this because he's a leader in corporate America, just about just the divide in opinions. And really, again, it's not a matter of just having a different opinion. Now, like, you're ignored if you have one opinion or another, or you're shamed. And we cannot have that happen as we move forward through this period that we're all living through right now. So again, there is so much turbulence and there is so much divide between what happened in the election and what happened. And I've heard people say that if you voted a certain way, you should be shamed. You should be, shamed of yourself and don't talk to those people. And it's crazy. I've heard like managers in the businesses that I lead make comments like that. And I hear that and I'm like, no, because that people think that, again, saying that, certain people should be shamed because of having an opinion or having a belief or, whatever. And the truth is that creates even more of a divide. And what has happened because of this incivility in our businesses, now there is a lack, and I will explain a story in a second, but there's a lack of employees even wanting to try or put themselves out there. I read another article, which I thought was like amazing, was now people who are graduating from college, these Gen Z, I guess, that they don't even want to take on managers roles because there's so much pressure on management. So, it's crazy because it's like this snowball effect. But again, when we look back at history, the people who make an impact, the people who make a difference are entrepreneurs, are creators, are innovators, are inventors, are people who can not only embrace a growth mindset, but embrace a mentor mindset. And that mentor mindset is surrounded by how can I teach and share the things that I've learned, the things that I've gotten through, the experiences that I've had, and what I've learned from them to help shape the next generation. But instead, what we end up focusing on, or what many, many people focus on, is the drama, the discouragement, the frustration that's happening. We focus more on that than we do on how can we find a solution to this? How can we take these difference of opinions and find a common ground so that we can create solutions and advancements that we really need, right? And believe me, there is a lot of bad leadership in this world. I've encountered a lot of bad leaders. I've encountered people who have overcompensated, or it's all about me. Look at me. I'm the one that did it. My team, I led the team, I managed the team, but it's me. I'm the one that did it. I'm the one that, and they overcompensate or they overcomplicate. Why? Because there's an underlying fear of they might find me out, that I don't know what I'm doing or I don't know how to lead. So we have enough of that. We don't need to create that fear and that scarcity in our team. We actually need to do things to bring our team together. So today in the podcast, what I want to talk about with everyone, based on my experiences and real conversations I've had with people, is number one, how do we bring people together when everyone is so divided? Even in like small coffee shops or like super, small businesses where there's 3 people in the business, I've seen it. And this is what my assistant and I were talking about. She went to a coffee shop, and the level of conversation about the drama that's going on and all the, news headings that you hear, and here she couldn't even get them to get her cup of coffee right. So we focus so heavily on that we forget what's truly important. We forget what's truly important about creating that experience in our business. So how do we bring people together when everyone is so divided? And at the same time, how can we make our team feel safe when there are opinions that don't necessarily align? And, uh, because of this, because people have, as I said, I heard that conversation, and because there are such differences of opinions, we're starting to breed, or I've seen, you know, the, cultures in businesses where we're starting to breed a sense of, "I can't have an opinion. I need to follow the crowd. I need to," and that's where groupthink just becomes so bad. I need to follow the crowd. I've seen businesses where it's one manager versus the other manager. So you have to pick a team, you have to pick a camp, which I just think is so crazy, so crazy. And what happens then, the aftermath of that, or what ends up coming out of that is employees don't want to try. Employees don't want to step up. Employees don't want to know how to lead. Employees don't want to put themselves out there for fear of being rejected. So we have fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of what's the one? The outcome. Like, oh my gosh, what if I do this and I put myself out there and the outcome is that everybody thinks I'm an idiot, or everybody thinks that, or I end up getting shunned, and then yada yada yada. And what happens is all of this ends up creating more toxicity when in our small businesses we can create that culture of diversity and inclusion and really have innovation come from that. So, I'm going to give you four concepts to think about to how you can start to in your organization, whether I don't care if you have a two-person organization or you have a 200 person organization or a 2000 person organization and you're leading a department. How can you make your team feel safe when again everybody is so divided? And maybe you're doing this already. And if you are, I embrace that and I celebrate that. But if you're experiencing this turbulence that is going on in the world, I mean, I even see it like on Facebook feeds, friends of mine, and they post stuff and it's, oh my God. And what it does is it creates more of a divide. And they're looking at it and they're thinking that, I'm saying these things and it's because I wanna bring the country together, but when you read it, it's just so negative that it's not creating that place of or it's not putting out a message into the world of bringing people together. It creates more of a divide. And like I said, in an organization, we want to bring people together and we want to find a way that we can have differences of opinions. We can have different ideas. We can have different perspectives on things. We can have different backgrounds, and that's okay because those different opinions and different backgrounds and different experiences, bringing all of that together is what creates a lot of goodness. As long as hatred doesn't exist, as long as criticism doesn't exist, as long as shunning people or shaming people doesn't exist. So, and it can't if we bring that light. Now I'm getting a little woo woo, but bring that light into our organizations. So I'm going to give you four things that you can think about. First one is, and I said this to a client of mine yesterday, listen more than you speak. Listen. Listen to what people's fears are. I mean, every 5 minutes, I have a feed popping up about what the president is doing, what is going on. And I'll tell you what, and I saw another article where they were talking about how to read the news without having it take you into depression. Ha- Whoa. Again, because there is such a divide and because there is so much turbulence. So, listening, when we take the time to spend time actually talking to your team, not about, I mean, you can talk to them about, hey, you know, how are you doing today? Simple. How are you doing today? What's new? What's going on? Like, where are you stuck? Are there things here that you're struggling with? How can I help? And asking those questions, not forcing anything, but simply asking a question and then listening to hear what's going on with them. And you don't have to go down the road of again, and then this gets into the drama, all of the drama of things, but just listening and just hearing how they're doing. I think that's the biggest thing is asking someone how they're doing. We very, very rarely do that. And I know for myself with my team, one of the things when I'm having a conversation with someone and I ask them how they're doing, where are you struggling? What can I help you with? And I listen. The end of that dialogue, I say, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I see you. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate you sharing this with me. You know, it is because people had different ideas or different suggestions or different perspectives or different, beliefs or thoughts or, whatever that created, cures to diseases or that created the internet or that created Google or, whatever it is. And while, someone asked me, this is like the whole listening more than you speak. Someone asked me when I was a SCORE mentor for the Small Business Administration. Someone asked me when because I used to coach other SCORE mentors how to be better mentors, how to be better leaders. And someone asked me, they said, how do you not tell someone that their idea, when they bring an idea and you're coaching them, how do you not tell them that the idea is stupid? I'm like, well, who am I to judge that it's stupid? Right? Like they have a different idea about something. I'm going to listen to what they're saying and encourage them to go one way or another because that's my job as a leader. That's the mentor mindset. To when someone brings an idea, when you listen and you hear them and you're focused on them, that's how you are able to direct them one way or another based on your own experiences and what you know, because you're one step ahead of them, right? And it's funny because I never realized this until someone said to me the other day, some people are intimidated by you, Teresa. And I was like, what? And they said, it's because of the way that you look at people. And I didn't understand what that meant. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, when you're talking to someone, you're looking at them. And I said, well, that's because I'm truly listening to what they're saying, and I am focused. I am present in the conversation. I'm not focused on this or that or looking beyond them, which I see a lot of leaders do. I truly want to hear what they're saying. And they said, well, that not a lot of people do that, so people get intimidated. And I'm like, well, I don't want to make people feel intimidated, but I also that's me. That's me being present. So even hearing that, now when I talk to people, I say to them, "Hey, how you doing?" Let them respond, and then I'll say, "I am here for this conversation. I wanna hear what you have to say. So tell me, like, how are things going? How are you what are you enjoying?" And listening to what they say. So listen more than you speak. I was coaching someone yesterday, and we had this exact conversation, and I said to him, Ins ask the questions and consistently ask questions and get them to talk about things. Because if you can get someone to come to their own conclusion about something or solve a problem, they're going to feel more empowered and it's going to stick, right? So, number one is just listening more than we speak. H So many leaders, as I said, they like to hear themselves speak and they just talk and talk and talk, and they end up talking in circles because they overcomplicate a conversation and then nothing comes out of that, and then people feel worse, right? So this whole topic about bringing people together is making people feel like they belong. It is creating a culture of belonging. No matter what your background is, no matter what your experiences are, no matter what you think, as long as you are not bringing hatred and drama and toxic energy, we want to celebrate everyone as a person. So it is creating a sense of belonging, but it's also seeing people as people. So number 2 is diversity wins, right? Diversity wins. Celebrating diverse thinking, diverse experiences, diverse backgrounds. One of the things I have coached the managers that I lead in the with the teams that I lead, I have encouraged them that just because somebody doesn't have restaurant experience or just because somebody doesn't have retail experience, but they have experience in skills that we need in the business, don't discount them because they're going to bring a level of diversity into the building that and different a level of perspective that we don't have. It's a fresh set of eyes. So when you do that, it breeds creativity. Again, it breeds that mentor mindset. Just because they're not necessarily a leader, they become a mentor because they're bringing a set of skills and experiences and ideas that the business may not have had, right? And not every idea is going to be an idea that's going to get implemented, but every idea needs to be heard. Every suggestion should be heard, right? And going back to them, listening to them, going back to number 1 and saying, "Okay, we appreciate you sharing your thoughts and ideas, but that's not something we can do right now." So the next thing is really having that level of straight talk and being able to say that's not necessarily something we can implement right now, but thank you for sharing. And having that straight talk, not talking around in circles because that confuses people. And when you're confused, guess what? You go talk to other people and that groupthink becomes a bad thing, right? So when we want to have, an environment that people feel it has a sense of belonging and that we listen more than we speak. Diversity always wins. Okay. And people, because we embrace that diverse thinking, people have the ability and they start to feel safe that they can share their opinions. Even if it doesn't, even if that opinion that they have doesn't align with the rest of the group, it's a chance to break through and see things differently. And when we're able to do that, we're able to solve problems quicker, right? And we go from being problem focused and reactive to things to being proactive and solution focused, which is what we need to do. So, number 3 is confidence comes from trying. We want to build confidence with our people. So, confidence comes from trying. Trying comes from taking action. The more we give people the ability to try something new, to try speaking, to using their voice. The more we're able to do that, the more action they take, the more they become more confident. So they can start making decisions about things. And the more confident they are, the more they're going to be willing to share what they think or share what they have to say or share an idea instead of being afraid that that idea, and I believe me, I spent years when I worked in corporate being afraid to share my thoughts. Why? Because one meeting I was told that the idea that I had was the stupidest idea in the world. That idea led to a multi-million dollar revenue stream. And it wasn't until I got over that fear of sharing my ideas that I was able to build that multi-million dollar revenue stream. But it came from having the confidence. And again, confidence comes from trying. I don't care. There's all kinds of fancy dancy things about how you build confidence. And yes, it is a muscle that you build, no different than a bicep. But it comes from taking action and being willing to try, being willing to put ourselves out there, feeling safe enough in the culture, in the environment, within an organization, feeling safe enough to share what you have to say. I remember the one time when I shared an idea and that is the stupidest idea we ever heard. Why would you ever say that, Theresa? And I will never forget how I feel. And for myself as a leader, I never ever want anybody to ever feel that way because it felt like crap. So we want to build that confidence. Build confidence in, yes, you worked at these different places, and yes, you've had these different jobs, and be confident in who you are and what makes us different. What makes us different is what can bridge that divide. But we have to choose to see it differently. We have to choose to build that culture inside and outside of our business that is based on embracing those differences. If you watch the Super Bowl, there was a commercial with Tom Brady and Snoop Dogg, and they were talking about, I hate you because you believe differently. I hate because of the way your face looks. And then they said, I hate that we have to do this commercial because we sound so stupid and it doesn't even make sense. So we don't want to, there's so much of that going on in the world, and it's awful. But what we can do is we can start making that impact inside of our businesses by building a culture of belonging, building a culture that embraces the differences, that embraces that diversity, that builds that culture where people feel confident enough to be who they are. And when people are who they are without hatred, because let me tell you, if somebody is being who they are and they're an idiot or they're creating more problems for people, get rid of them. Get rid of them like fast, because that will filter through the organization faster than you can imagine. So we want to celebrate people who who want to make a difference, who want to make that positive impact, who want to have that mentor mindset, who want to grow, who want to, focus on finding solutions and not propagating the problem. Last one, connection from within. What does that mean? It means that we see people as people. We see our team members as people, and we understand what makes them different. And when we're able to do that, we want to, as a leader, we want to look at what is happening in our business. And instead of zooming in on it, which is what everybody wants to do, and I talk about this a lot, instead of zooming in on it and assigning meaning to it, zooming in, somebody voted XYZ. Zooming in, they're a jerk. They're an idiot. They're without looking at the bigger picture and zooming out and saying, this person actually has these qualities, or or they have these qualities. They do these great things. They do and seeing them as people. Zooming out, not zooming into a problem that's happening in the organization. Somebody made a mistake. And I've seen this, and I know as a leader myself, I've had to stop it. Whereas someone made a mistake, and it was an honest mistake. It was the first time they ever did something, and it didn't go so well, and they made the mistake. And they were afraid to share that they made a mistake for fear that they would be made fun of, that they would be shamed, that they would get in trouble. So what did they do? They kept it to itself. And then what happened? That mistake kept going further and further and further and further. So instead of, because it happens where we zoom in on it and then everybody's got to talk about it 5 ways since Sunday, instead of doing that, let's zoom out and saying, okay, again, giving them the confidence to raise their hand and say, I made a mistake. I don't know how to do this. I'm not really sure what I'm doing. I feel stuck. Being okay to raise your hand and say that so that you can use your resources, get the help that you need, and zoom out and say, all right, let's look at the bigger picture. What happened here? And how can we make it better? So 4 things: listen more than you speak. Diversity always wins. Help your people to build confidence to be who they are. Always form connection within by getting people to zoom out to the bigger picture, to zoom out and be more proactive of finding a solution or handling a difficult situation. Don't be afraid of straight talk. Don't be afraid of having that straight talk with somebody and saying, this is what we need you to do. Set the expectations, set the boundaries. And this is how long this is the time frame, or this is, we saw that this happened, or this is the situation. This is what we need to do differently. Give people that space to feel safe enough to be themselves, to share their ideas, to make mistakes, but also to get the help and the guidance and the mentorship that they need. So, how do we bring people together when everyone is so divided? It's all about eliminating the divide. And how do we eliminate the divide? We see people as people. We look at them and we figure out, why are we divided in the first place? And most often than not, it comes down to a perception, or a flawed perception. And it comes down to the differences that we're looking at that are creating the divide are really, they don't have to be, they can be celebrated and not divided. So how do we make our team feel safe when there's opinions that don't align? We look at what those opinions are, and we either find a way to turn them into something positive, or if it's an opinion that's creating a negative or creating a toxic weave into the culture, we need to eliminate it. So what this comes down to is, again, it's bringing people together. It's bringing people together and eliminating that gap. And how do we do that? By seeing people for who they are, by finding the greatness within each person, by creating that space of safety to be able to share. I mean, in an organization, again, there is so much out in the world that cuts people down, that shames people, that is just such a negative that creates depression and anxiety and a doubt in ourself. Why? Because we look externally for validation. We look externally to build ourselves. And a lot of businesses are built that way. They build from the outside in, not from the inside out. So if we can create that culture in our business, and I have done this in each one of the businesses that I lead, to create a culture of that feeling safe to have that opinion, of that space of feeling good about myself. And when we're able to do that, that's how we can start to wipe out the negativity, the darkness that's happening in the world. And I truly, truly, truly believe that we can do that with inside of our business. We can do that as leaders if we choose to see that. So I hope that this episode helped you. It is a very tough time to be a leader. It is a very difficult time to lead a business. There's so much change. There's so much, change is happening rapidly. Every 5 minutes, like I said, there's something new on the news, and everybody wants to point fingers and blame things. And there's so much of that going on out in the outside world that as leaders, we can make the decision to not have that be inside of our business. And if enough of us, if enough of us do that, we can start to really impact what happens in society, regardless of, what's happening, with the president and whatever. We can do that. It was proven. If you watch the Super Bowl halftime show, the impact one person can make when they use their voice for good. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I will see you again here next week. Have a good rest of your week. Hey there. Thank you so much for listening. If you found value on the show, please follow the podcast so you never, ever miss an episode. And I would love, love, love if you would leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify for me. Even better, share the show with a fellow business owner ready to step fully into their CEO leadership role. Because right now, more than ever, the world really needs next level leaders. And by the way, did you know you can text me all your questions and get real-time feedback? You absolutely can. Just text the word CEO to me at 610-215-2838 to get connected. One last goodie for you before I go. If you're ready to scale your business and have a co-creator working right by your side, my C-Suite Mentor Program may be perfect for you and your possible new second in command. Just visit thecsuitementor.com to get started.